Okay, I guess we're live. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is TJ. I'm the editor-in-chief at Prince of Travel, and I'm pleased to be joined today by Scott O'Leary, who's the Vice President of Loyalty and Product with Air Canada. Scott, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate you coming out to talk about all of the things that we're going to talk about.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me here today. And thanks everyone for joining.
There we go. So obviously, big announcement last week, upcoming changes to Aeroplan and Aeroplan Late Status coming next year. As you move to a revenue-based model away from the current distance and fare-based model. So that's going to be the topic of discussion today. We've got lots of things to chew the fat on and lots of interesting insights that I'm hoping you're able to share with us. But I thought maybe we could start the discussion. It's been 5 years since Aeroplan relaunched in 2020. And maybe if you just want to share some interesting facts and figures, maybe some relevant facts and figures about what's been going on since the relaunch. As well as maybe the motivation for the switch to revenue-based earning for earning points on flights and elite status, and why now and not in the future or in the past.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the question and thanks for the opportunity to maybe offer a little bit of an introduction. Background matters, and context matters. So stepping back, it has been 5 years. I can't believe it's already been 5 years since we relaunched Aeroplan. And when we did, it had been following 3 years of what I would consider to be research and ultimate build out of that new program. And when you kind of think about what Aeroplan is today, it's and all of its features that we introduced there in 2020. That was a direct result of feedback that we received from our members. It's feedback that we received from Canadian consumers, and we also did quite a bit of research in the U.S. And that ideally explains why you see features like family sharing, status pass, new things to be introduced, the massive expansion of our redemption partnerships, the introduction of everyday partnerships. And all the investments that we've made on the digital side to make our mobile app a world-class mobile app, and the ability to search for rewards so much better than it ever was before. And so, all of those things, and not to mention our credit card partners. I don't mean to go through the full list of all the cool stuff that we did, but we did a lot of cool stuff, and it was a direct result of the feedback that we got from our members, and again from Canadian consumers. We are, at the time, and I remember us even talking about it, and it was about this time, it was August of 2020, where we all got together and we introduced, there was a lot of questions around, are there going to be changes to the Elite program? Are there going to be changes to the way that you earn points on Air Canada flights? And the answer back then was no, but it is going to come at some point. I think at that point we were ready to speak to the fact that revenue-based accrual was coming, and we hadn't really spoken about status at that point. And the reason we didn't implement it back then, it was for a couple reasons, but I think the number one reason is we weren't sure that we were sitting on top of the right design for it, and until we understood how it was going to have an interplay into how you earn status in the program, we didn't want to launch one without understanding the implications to the other. And again, kind of going back to the earlier point, for as hokey as it sounds, we didn't feel like we had the pulse of our member yet on this one, and so that combined with also just a desire to see how all the new features that we had loaded and launched with the new program were going to play out. And again, back then, when folks started flying again, which didn't happen for like another 2 years.
That's right. Yeah.
We said then and only then can we really be in a position to think about that next chapter. The next chapter was going to come, and so that is what we have been doing. Very similarly, this is about a 3-year cycle for us. We did quite a bit of research. We talked to, in this case, quite a bit of our status members and our high value customers, and we got a lot of insight from them. And that insight was a real input into the design you heard us announce just a couple weeks back. And so, I look forward to talking about those in more detail today, because I think there's still a lot of questions, and I think there's in some cases some blind spots to maybe talk through, and again, I'm just looking forward to the discussion today. Maybe I'll leave it there.
Yeah, that sounds great. So why don't we move right into it? So the first question is just about the shift from status qualifying miles, segments, and dollars into status qualifying credits. So right now, members qualify for status by earning a combination of the three, and starting next year, it'll just be a single metric status qualifying credits. And if we put away all the other ways that you can get SQM today and all of the other ways to get SQC starting next year, the spending thresholds to reach status have risen across all tiers of status. And I think a lot of the reaction that I've noticed to the program changes kind of centers around this. And I'm wondering if you could just, share your views, address the increased thresholds, and maybe how you arrived at the various thresholds, SQC thresholds for each tier of status.
It's a great question. All right, so just for context, one could have argued that at the time that we relaunched Aeroplan in 2020, it would have been a good time to launch a new elite program design. Again, it was really just for our own reasons that we didn't do it, for the reasons I described. But the model of elite statuses and the idea of SQMs and SQSs date all the way back to like the origins. Those are like 3-decade old constructs.
That predates me.
That's right. And really, so much of what we did with Aeroplan, we always asked ourselves, if we're starting a new program tomorrow, and by the way, we are, like, what would be the right answer? How would we do it? I could tell you, coming up with a combination of SQM and SQS with an SQD backstop is not necessarily the plan A, but it's definitely how. It's a reflection of how this construct has evolved over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as we looked closer at this, it really been since 2016 that we had made any changes to that area of the program. So here we are, a decade later, and it's kind of time. So, if you take a look at the landscape of all of our elite membership, and just forget everyone that's not in the status program today that maybe should be, but just even for our membership that's within the status program, there were a few areas where we were over delivered. Simply put, just the return on spend, both in terms of points that you were getting and in terms of the status and instruments that came with that status that were being accumulated, were an over delivery. But that's we don't fuss about over delivery too much. There will come a point in time where it's appropriate to change that. What we were much more concerned about was the number of members for whom we were under delivering. We have members, and again, as we talk to members at various tiers in the program, we were maybe very surprised to learn at how little attention was being paid to their status, or if they were paying attention to their status, they were kind of checked out because they were flying so much day in and day out on flying around the country, flying on transborder flights, flying on what the typical business or leisure traveler is flying on, which tends to be a mix of short and medium haul.
Yep.
And believing, earnestly believing that they were not being sufficiently recognized or rewarded for for their loyalty to Air Canada and to Aeroplan. And when you look very closely at it, they were right. There were a number of our members that were sitting in. I'd say a good third of our membership was sitting in a situation where they were being under recognized for their loyalty, and so that worried us. And so, especially as other revenue-based loyalty programs, injected the notion of revenue-based into their status qualification, that becomes a competitive concern for us, because then we run the risk of losing those highly valuable customers to other programs that do reward based on spend. Mm-hmm. And so that is really what gave rise to the status qualifying credit, and having creating a single metric for qualification, and having that be a reflection of what the customer is spending with Air Canada. And we are somewhat unique in market in that we create some further differentiation. I don't think we're the only one in market, But we are one of the only ones in North America that have a further differentiation that differentiates a type of fare that creates separation between a standard fare and something that sits above standard. And we thought that we felt, and again, in talking with our members, we kind of confirmed that was something that was going to be a dial mover for us.
Yeah, I think just to build off of that, there's a differentiation in 2 SQC per dollar spent for economy standard fares, and then 4 SQC per dollar spent for everything else. And I'm wondering, was there any consideration to maybe giving more SQC per dollar spent on premium fares of passengers who are flying in premium economy or business class, spending more out of pocket to kind of reward that behavior?
The math runs out of control pretty quickly the moment you go to a multiplier beyond that. Again, we are always kind of governing these models and these decisions around also a size of an elite program and sizes of respective elite tiers that we believe that we can deliver benefits reliably. And so it would be great if we could find a way to double the size of our elite program and still have a high upgrade success rate or plenty of space in our lounges. But I think, as we all know, that's a finite amount of capacity, and so we do believe that we've come up with the right number in terms of the size of the elite population at each tier, and then from there you kind of have to work back. You have to work backward, right? And in many cases, it has to be zero sum so that you don't you don't put yourself at risk of not delivering on the promise that you're making to your members in each of those tiers.
Yeah, and I think just before we move on to the next question, in the press release and last week, you want to reward people who engage more with Air Canada and Aeroplan partners, Star Alliance Airlines, and credit card spending. And I think when I was crunching the numbers, burning the midnight oil last week, getting all of these blog posts out, we saw the pathway to maintaining the same effective SQD thresholds by earning SQC through other means as well. So I think you've mentioned before that there is a pathway, and so when I had a chance to actually sit down and crunch those numbers, the pathway is clear. So yeah, I think that's an interesting thing to think about, that even if, I guess, the effective spending thresholds have increased, there is still a pathway to keep them the same if people want to pursue that route.
That's right. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it. It was certainly a big part of our consideration as we came up with this design. Is in general, the program has focused over the last 5 years to create more ways to earn points. When you consider grading a loyalty program, the loyalty program can have like the best rewards and the best redemption ability on the planet. But if you are starved of access to the points themselves, that works against the viability of the program. And so it became very important to us to create more ways to get for our members to get points. And so you would have seen us turbocharge our credit card offerings, and we've increased the number of our transfer partners and ways to transfer points into Aeroplan. But you've also seen us introduce new ways to earn Aeroplan points even as part of your everyday life, and that creating that Aeroplan, which was not had not earned its right to be an everyday brand up to that point, really is trying to earn its way into its members' everyday lives. And what we have found is, in doing that successfully, you're creating more ways for members to earn points. And by virtue of them earning points one way, there's a natural curiosity to understand all the other ways that you can earn Aeroplan points, and that creates a virtuous cycle for us. Now, we were able to do that in terms of point earn, but we hadn't yet reflected that in the context of status earn. And so we really wanted to take a closer look, call it a refined look at how we do it on the credit card, and I'm sure we'll talk about that here at some point.
Oh, we sure will.
But then also on the everyday partners, we believe that they have a role to play as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But we've got lots of ground to cover here, so let's move on. So Milestone benefits are coming next year, and they're going to replace select benefits, threshold rewards, and priority rewards that people are used to earning with the current setup. So right now, elites get to make their select benefit choice at the beginning of the year or any time throughout the year, and then they earn threshold E-upgrades and threshold gifts as they accumulate SQM and hit various thresholds. And then priority rewards are rewarded automatically upon hitting SQD thresholds. So these are all being merged into a single form of milestone benefits, some E-upgrades coming automatically, and then other benefits requiring a selection at the SQC milestones. Some elites have mentioned that they feel that status is going to be less rewarding with milestones, since they have to choose between many of the same benefits that they're currently awarded automatically today. So how would you respond to anybody who's looking at milestone benefits and wondering why the benefits are changing in the first place, and maybe feeling like their status isn't going to be as rewarding as it is next year, as it is now?
For sure, very fair question. So sitting at its core, we know from our members that they appreciate having choices, and that was really it even predates my existence in Aeroplan, the creation of selectable benefits. We're all about making sure that we give our members maximum choices and enable them to make their own trade-offs. And so we wanted that concept to stay, but select benefits in and of itself wasn't perfect. You can't have, for example, priority rewards as a select benefit, because that's kind of a direct function of how you're engaging with the airline. It was a spend-based function, and so it's not something that could just be granted as a core benefit of status. And it was a similar story around the threshold benefits. And in fact, you'd be surprised how many of our members weren't even aware of some of these other things like priority rewards or threshold benefits. It's kind of like if you know, you know.
If you follow Prince of Travel, you should know. So
exactly. But not making this up, we have got members at every tier of the program that use none of their priority rewards, all the way up to super elite, but still run out of their other benefits by February. And so this is like, we want to do a better job of putting the hard-earned benefits that our members are earning in front of them as they earn them. And with that, providing maximum choice. And so yes, it would seem like the priority reward that you otherwise would have gotten on its own is now being put up against as a choice against something else that you should have otherwise naturally received. In some cases that'll be true, but that will be offset by the fact that a lot of our members are going to be earning more milestones because they're going to be earning more SQC in the program than they otherwise were before. And this is kind of like where everyone's situation is a little bit different. But for the handful of cases that we've sat down and looked at, because as customers write us, especially super elites that earn well beyond 100K, you want to look at individual scenarios, and sure enough, they're in a position to earn many of the same benefits that they had before, plus some additional choices. So that's maybe number one. Number two, for those of you that are really focused on priority rewards, you might recall that we currently have a limit of 11 that could be earned in a year. And with this change, we are removing that cap, and so there's an unlimited ability to earn priority rewards. So if you do find yourself in a miraculous ability to go through more than 11 priority rewards in a year, there is going to be that opportunity for you. But I should also mention, like it's not exactly a fair like-for-like comparison. We are taking certain things that were selectable benefits and we're making them kind of core benefits, like earning points on Air Canada. That used to be a selectable benefit in terms of accelerated earn by elite tier, and so that fundamentally changes. But I do think, just to kind of put it out there, we have seen some feedback about milestones, and as we really try to dig into it, there are a few patterns that we've seen that I think are worth acknowledging up front, because some of these were not intentional. One, sorry, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to over-answer your question here.
It might be bleeding into the next question, but if I
Cool.
have a sense
Allow
of
me
where
to
you're
pre-answer
going.
your
Yes, there we
question.
go.
One, we have million milers. Million milers have earned status in the program, where they've earned a lifetime status tier, and that is that's a scenario where maybe not now while you're kind of an active traveler, it might not be of an impact to you, but as you kind of consider your future self, where you're kind of winding down your travel patterns, you are at least looking forward to having the access to certain benefits, as just called a default grant, and that is not going to be the case, for those members that have their million miler status and are not earning milestones in the program. not intentional, so it's just stay tuned on this one. Our goal here is to ensure that as a million miler, that there are some grants that come on top of your default status position, especially in the context of where you might not be earning milestones on your own. So that's one. Another one is selectable. Select benefits or milestones are going to enable us to provide benefit options to our members at maybe a more relevant point in their qualification journey than all upfront at the beginning of a year. And that's true in almost every case except for the status for a friend benefit. And so this is one where I don't know that this was properly shared, but when you earn a status for a friend benefit as a milestone, that status for a friend goes for the remainder of the current benefit year, and it also lasts for the entirety of the next year. And so that is, it's a bit better than what is currently out there today, objectively. However, as we consider the transition from a world of select benefit to milestones, we run the risk of somebody who did status for a friend in this year having that status lapse and potentially be unfulfilled for a number of months before that member is able to earn that milestone again. And so that was we're really grateful for that feedback, because we honestly just didn't catch it when we were coming up with the design, and this is kind of where paying close attention to Reddit, Prince of Travel, from the notes that come into our own inbox, that we were able to kind of see that was, again, unintentional and something that's very fixable. And so maybe you're hearing it here first. If you had nominated status for a friend this year and you requalify for that same status or higher for next year, we're going to automatically roll over that status for a friend for the entirety of next year as well. And so maybe an example, you were a super elite this year, and your selectable benefits, you selected a 50K for a friend benefit, and as long as you're super elite for next year, as long as you've earned super elite for next year, that 50K designation for that same individual will automatically renew.
Yeah, that's great. I know previously, before e-upgrades were valid for 12 or 24 months, from the date that they were being earned, there was some strategy around when you were going to choose your select benefits. But if you had a 50K status gift, for example, that you chose towards the end of the year, then that would only really be 3 months. So I think that's a great change to the program as well. I'd say that's great. And just building off of the million milers, which was the next question, one of our super elite members, whose name is also Scott, had mentioned that million milers with United are rewarded with a full suite of plus points. Whereas right now, maybe it'll change in the future, a lifetime super elite who's earned 3 million miles would start the year with 30 e-upgrades, but then would need to earn more e-upgrades through milestones. So I think that was one of the major themes that I noticed in my interactions with super elites and million milers and the elite community was, people who have flown literally millions of miles with Air Canada over the years and expecting to enjoy the same benefits now, but then they'd have to continue spending. But I think that you've addressed that question, so people can stay tuned.
People can stay tuned, but maybe just because the example of United was brought up, and again, I'm not. It's sometimes difficult to make like for like comparisons. In some cases it is. This is just so with United, I think I know what Scott's referring to. United, just for clarification, has no plus points as a default grant at any tier of their, or I'm saying you have no grant of plus points at least up to the 50K tier today. You don't. But in their in United's Million Miler program, you do get a grant of plus points as long as you have earned 75K for that year. And if you've earned 75K for that year, you will get a Million Miler grant of, I think it's like 40 or 50 plus points, and that number is a lot more. Like if you earn 1K as a Million Miler, you will get an additional grant of I think it's like 250, 280 plus points. Mm-hmm. But it's not, again, you think about the million miler who has stopped flying and is no longer really travel active or earning milestones, or in the United parlance, if you will.
Yep.
Those grants would not apply, as I understand it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I look forward to your emails if I'm wrong. But that's number one. Number two, even our 50K. So our 50K status, in its definition, gives you access to all Star Alliance Gold lounges. So does United's. Gives you access to all of our Maple Leaf lounges, including on domestic flights, and that's maybe a difference. So United does not offer domestic lounge access as part of its elite tiers, as part of any of its elite tiers. And so, just for comparison purposes, this is not exactly an apples for apples. We've put a lot of thought and care as to what that forever proposition looks like.
Yeah, for sure, and very difficult to compare programs because they're so different. They're structured very differently. So sticking with the Million Miler program, we had lots of questions rolling in about if you can clarify exactly how lifetime qualifying miles will be awarded going forward. So one of the big patterns that we noticed was that the class of service bonus for comfort fares and above will no longer apply. So I'm sure that you've noticed a lot of discussion about that as well, maybe in your inbox. So could you, just clarify exactly how LQM will be awarded going forward, and maybe just address why remove the class of service bonus for comfort fares and above that people have been actively keeping in mind when choosing to purchase higher fares in hot pursuit of lifetime million mile status.
Yes. Oh gosh, Million Mile. It's one of my favorite. It really is one of my favorite topics. So just backing up a step, as part of the original design where it was going to only be button seat miles. In the current LQM construct, where there is a class of service bonus structure, there's also a class of service penalty structure. You will earn less LQM flying on a standard fare.
That's right. Yep.
Right? So there is that, but we have seen feedback. The feedback is clear that there's a desire to have some extra credit for LQM as it pertains to fares that are called comfort and above,
yep,
or at least premium economy and above. I've seen that as well. It's good feedback, and we are taking that one back. With the introduction of this new structure, our hope was to be able to retire the notion of class of service bonuses for Air Canada. It was just us trying to kind of clean up the house a little bit. But the feedback is well taken, and I hope you'll give us an opportunity to take this one back and consider it further. If it's not, I'll put it to you this way. Again, here I am committing this in a very public record. We will solve for this one way or another. We will solve for it either by reintroducing some sort of class or cabin of service bonus, which if we can accomplish that as part of this design, we will do it. And if we can't accomplish it that way, we will accomplish it in another way, where it might not be a perfect apples to apples, but having some recognition of flying in higher cabins as part of your LQM is what we will seek to figure out how to recognize, if not partially, completely along the way. So leave that with us.
Great. Another thing to stay tuned for. Just moving on to the next question here. We're back up just a little bit, please. Thank you very much. So economy standard fares going forward. We'll I guess stay tuned, but will economy standard fares get 100% LQM of distance flown? That was one of the things that we didn't know about.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so economy basic, no, economy standard and above, 100%.
That's correct.
Right now, but stay tuned for potential amendments to that.
That's right.
One of our members, John, who's a super elite approaching 3 million miler, asked if LQM activity tracking could be something that's added to the member dashboard. So on the dashboard now you see the LQM earned to date, but not in the specific activity. Exactly. So he noticed that he keeps track of it. He follows up if he doesn't think that it's been awarded properly, and is worried that lots of other people might be missing out on million mile recognition because of LQM that weren't tracked or awarded as they were supposed to be.
Yeah. Hey, so we've seen this. First of all, thanks so much for the question and for the feedback. We have seen this feedback come in as well, and the team is investigating as to what we might be able to do there. Obviously, our goal here in any of these displays or tracking for our members is not to confuse them, right? In a world where we're saying everything is now based on your fare or on your status, depending on if you're earning points or SQC. We just want to make sure that we're not overly confusing the displays that we put in front of our members, and so consider that more of a UX challenge than really a functional or commercial reason not to do it. So leave that with us. We understand the request, and if there's a way that we can do this elegantly and without too much overhead, we'll definitely figure it out and do it.
Great, wonderful. So moving on, still got a lot to cover. Hopefully we might be able to run a little bit over time. But so changes to core benefits. Not too many changes coming to the Elite Status core benefits. Maple Leaf Lounge passes become a milestone benefit, but now apply to all Maple Leaf Lounges worldwide. But the biggest change is that the core e-upgrade allotment is changing. So 25K, 35K, 50K members will get fewer core benefit e-upgrades. 75K members will get the 20 that everybody gets right now. And then super elites will get a little bit more. A member who qualifies for status, 25K status through everyday status qualification, right now starts the year with 20 and can choose an additional 5 e-upgrades through their select benefits. Next year they'll start with 5. I just gotta say, I thought that was very generous allotment for everyday status qualification. But it's going to be a big change, and I'm just wondering if you could comment on the redistribution of e-upgrades through core benefits that more can now be earned through milestone benefits, as well as if there's any intended effect for e-upgrade redemptions. So, will there be more R space to confirm e-upgrades in advance in the future? Do you expect it to have any effect on e-upgrade availability, whether for cash or points bookings?
Okay. I love your multi-part question.
All right,
so let's do this.
We got 5 in there.
So maybe we'll start with our members that qualify for everyday qualification. There's a lot of them. Our whole goal with everyday qualification, it was the fun history on this, if you let me geek out on it a little bit, is when we were devising the new Aeroplan, we were also sunsetting certain features. We were sunsetting distinction of the old Aeroplan, and distinction was largely a function of our members earning points through various sources, including credit card, and being able to receive some benefits for that. And I think objectively speaking, the idea of granting 25K status was an intentional over delivery. It was what we considered to be like 90% perfect for what we wanted to do to recognize that set of members who are so very well engaged, across Aeroplan and its partners, including Air Canada. It was definitely the right thing to do. For lack of any other tool in the toolkit, granting 25K status was absolutely the right thing to do. But the number one thing that made it that put it up for debate was the heavy number of elite upgrades that sat in that status tier. And so this design does enable us to address what was, call it a conscious over delivery for so many years. But really what this does for a everyday qualifying 25K is it now gives them access to milestones that they otherwise wouldn't have if they weren't 25K, and if we found a different way to reward them. And so that is, call it key. Plus other benefits that come with 25K, like Star Silver, or the ability to check an extra bag, or free sports equipment, that kind of stuff. That all matters, and it adds up. But really the e-upgrade allotment versus relative to somebody else who is earning 25K the hard way. We just enough to say that everyday qualification is super easy. But I think you know what I mean here.
Yeah, I've scored a lot of brownie points with my in-laws by booking them on premium economy Aeroplan redemptions across the country. In-laws have 25K status through everyday status qualification, and having their upgrades clear over everybody else. I know that's a bit strategic, but I got a lot of brownie points with that. So
well done.
And then a couple of questions very briefly. Are there any changes to Marriott Titanium being awarded 25K status?
No change there.
Okay.
No change there at all. But I think you had some other questions more broadly about e-upgrades and e-upgrade availability.
Yes. Yep.
I missed that. Okay. This is one where, again, talk about zero-sum game. There's nothing more zero-sum in an elite program than upgrades. There's a finite amount of space to be allocated for upgrades, and the question is, who's going to get them? It's one of those things where, as you model this, it's a pretty complex model. You have to kind of understand how many E upgrades are in circulation, and therefore how many E upgrades are potentially in competition with each other, because it's not a good experience when you're trying to use an upgrade and quote unquote never clear. And so that's a real consideration. Now, we also hear from a lot of our members saying, you keep giving me all these E upgrades and I've got no use for these E upgrades, including customers that fly business class a lot, paid business class a lot, etc., who might not have a need. So again, the ability to serve up choices along the way instead of just giving you E upgrades was definitely an intention of this design. But we also think that'll helpfully naturally right size the amount of E upgrades actively in circulation at any given time. So that's maybe one piece of it. There's also when you think about E upgrades themselves, we're very conscious about their relative value, right? So they absolutely have a value, and we are working very closely with our revenue management team to make sure that we can clear more of those in advance. But that also kind of comes part and parcel to the increases in upgrade copays that you might see, will see come across, for both, basically that are mostly linked to standard fares.
Yeah.
But in doing that, it all of a sudden gives us a higher revenue value on those upgrades, which in turn is more appealing from a revenue management perspective, and gives us higher confidence in our ability to clear those in advance as opposed to waiting to closer to departure.
Great. That kind of feeds into just one final comment on e-upgrades. Just any changes that members can expect in the future. So changes to the waitlist ranking, prioritizing status over cabin class maybe. That was one thing that I thought. And then just changes to e-upgrade amounts required for different redemptions or cash flights.
That's right. There's changes. What we're doing with milestones in and of themselves are quite a bit of changes. So I want to be careful by saying, there's no more changes, because these changes themselves are a bit to take in. As we mentioned, there are going to be some increases to the upgrade copays on standard. I think out of memory, it's in the neighborhood of $100 on North America in Sun, and closer to $150 on international. Again, doing this out of memory, I think you know this better than I do.
That checks out from what I remember from last week.
That's right. And then along with that, though, adding the ability to have up to 4 companions, doubling the number of companions that you could bring on the same reservation, because again, it's there's a balance here, because yes, that does put additional people in competition for an upgrade, but at the same time, the emotional stakes are very high. When we're traveling with our family, it's important to us to be able to share our benefits with family, and the upgrade is such a key way to share that benefit. And so this takes us, I think, a long way to ensuring that the majority of our elites traveling with a reasonable number of companions could potentially benefit better.
Yeah, I could talk e-upgrades all day, and the wait list and when it clears and everything, and watching it like a hawk. But I want to move on to credit cards, because I know that there's a lot of stuff to talk about here. So first and foremost, the SQC accrual is capped at 25,000 SQC via credit card spending starting next year. We know that. Many other programs in Canada and the US allow for uncapped earning towards status, and with the 25K cap, some members have noted that they don't have as much motivation maybe to keep spending on their Aeroplan cards once they've hit that cap. And that's different from now, where there's threshold rewards, rollover of up to 200,000 status qualifying miles. We know that credit card partnerships have the potential to be very lucrative, and I'll be honest, I was a bit surprised to see a 25K SQC cap when the announcements were made last week. So I'm just wondering if you could speak to the reasoning for putting a 25K cap on spending, and how you might address somebody who's considering shifting some of their, let's call them mega spenders, shifting some of that once they've earned the 25,000 SQC and shifting that somewhere else.
Yeah, I completely understand that. It's a very fair question. This is, I think, largely a question surrounding our premium credit card.
Yes.
To be fair, and when you look at our premium credit card, there's a lot of reasons to have that card. It's a pretty robust value proposition. Starting with the fact that you're earning 1.25 points for every dollar that you spend. And you think about all the various categories out there of unbonused spend to be able to essentially earn 25% more Aeroplan points than just about anywhere else is real. But then add to that the other benefits and other reasons why you should carry this card at least engage with it up to the 25,000 SQC cap. By the way, that does largely encapsulate the plurality of our membership in there. But at the same time, there are folks that are putting literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, whether it's because of their small business or because of the nature in which they just find themselves spending every day. We totally understand that. And really what we are trying to do here is strike a balance. The goal of the 25K SQC is, well, first of all, to step back, an SQC is very different from an SQM. An SQM,
Yes, yeah.
you still had to have spend on the airline in order for that SQM to mean anything.
That's true, yeah.
Okay, and so here, what we were primarily worried about, worried is a strong term, but what we're really trying to govern around is making sure that the role of the credit card had a very meaningful role to play in that for our members that are engaging quite heavily, and $125,000 in spend isn't small. That there is essentially a way to find yourself into the next tier up because of your engagement on that. And if you're somebody that's sitting at 75K, to find yourself at least halfway to that next tier by having 25,000 SQC on top of what you earn there. And so that is call it the reason behind it. Because also remember, the SQC is linked to benefit unlock. And so in a world where you have more SQC being earned on the card, you also have to ensure that that funds the extra benefits that you're giving along the way, which are just not they're not viable. And so we are not going to be the program where you're going to be able to go all the way up to the top tier just by engaging on our credit card. And to be honest, I don't think you want us to be that program. But at the same time, we know the credit card has a central role to play, and there's a lot of reasons to stay on that card and keep your spend on that card, even if you've hit the cap in here.
Yeah, building off of that as well, I mean, I described the Chase Aeroplan card, which is available in the United States, as a premium credit card with a mid-tier price tag of only $95 US. I imagine it's been very successful since its launch. The much beloved level up benefit is being sunset, so the fastest pathway towards super elite status and all of the other status tiers is being sunset. The spending towards priority rewards, the Global Plus One benefit remains unchanged, and a couple of other changes to the spending structure required to maintain 25K, 35K. No change to 25K, change to the spending tier to extend 35K beyond the first couple of years. I look at that card and I think, why not introduce earning priority rewards for the mega spenders? I think I forget the exact amounts, but you can earn up to 4 priority rewards by spending on the card, and then once you get to $1 million in a year, the Global Plus One benefit. And so I look at the Chase Aeroplan card, $95 packed with features, such an interesting credit card. And then I look at a premium credit card in Canada with a price tag of $599, and I kind of scratch my head a little bit and think, like, why not have some of these benefits ported over, or similar benefits introduced on Canadian cards? I'm just wondering if you could speak to that a bit.
Yeah, so in there I hear 2 questions. Number one, why are you getting rid of the level up? That was cool. So maybe I'll answer that one first, and then I'll maybe talk about the next question that you had around the richer benefits on the U.S. card versus the Canadian premium card. All right, so the level up. Outside of the level up, for those of you that enjoy the level up benefit as part of this credit card offering, I think you'll know We have had challenges in administering this benefit. I won't be shy about it. It is it's quite a technical feat on our end. I know that all tech seems simple. This one was actually quite complex behind the scenes, also partly because of members' SQMs and flight credits and whatnot sometimes being delayed coming in, etc. Anyway, for all sorts of good reasons, Level Up was a difficult benefit to administer. But sure, we could figure that out, and we could probably build better tech around that. But still, the bigger issue is Level Up was always intended to help you go up to your next natural tier. But it really, where it became a little unsustainable for us was the number that we saw going from 75K to Super Elite. And with that, there was, again, we're all amongst friends here. There were a lot of our members that do almost all of their travel in Canada, finding their way into this card as a means to be able to get that level up into Super Elite. And so, this is just one of those where we're not afraid to put concepts out there and to try them, but sometimes when we become inverted on them, or when we kind of have an undesired effect coming out of it, we're going to change the benefit. And this is one of those. And so the Level Up, your ability to get 25,000 SQC through your spend on that card still gives you the effect of a Level Up, except for getting to Super Elite, in which case we'll take you half of the way there.
Yeah, and just to build off of that as well, the spending threshold to get the entire allotment of 25,000 SQC, I think it's 5,000 at the beginning of the year, 10,000 once you hit 25,000 US dollars, and another 10,000 when you hit 50,000 US dollars. And I crunched some numbers, and that's about 50% of the spending requirement that would be the same on a Canadian Aeroplan premium credit card. And so, was there any reasoning behind that, or?
Yes, it's the difference between, I'd say there's two reasons, two big underlying reasons. I won't put them in any particular order. But the first is the way you behave in a second home market is different than the way you behave in your home market. We are an underdog. We're a challenger in the U.S. market, and it's a very, very crowded competitive space. And we've heard from our members that are based in the U.S. That it is particularly challenging for them to maintain status and engagement with Aeroplan because we can't really fly you domestically around the U.S. And the flying that you do with our partners isn't getting you status accumulation like as quickly as you would have otherwise gotten if you were flying Air Canada domestically. And so our Canadian-based customers have so many more ways to earn points and to earn SQC and to engage with our airline. Our members based in the US don't. And so it does benefit us, and it is intentional for us to create a structural advantage for them. And you can expect us to look to create more structural advantages for our members that we see based in the US that really find themselves doing either international flying by way of our Canadian hubs, or do a lot of transporter travel, and for and for very natural reasons finding themselves on Air Canada. They do deserve some extra consideration, and that's kind of what we're structurally looking to accomplish there. And then I'll add to that, there is a second reason, that is the underlying economics. Like the credit cards in the United States have fundamentally different compensation structures behind the scenes versus Canadian co-brands. The interchange is very different behind the scenes. And so as a result, we have a different envelope from which we can actually fund benefits and fund benefits like the Level Up and the SQC in there.
Great. Just a quick comment that came in from one of our members as well, just about the Level Up benefit applying and other things, hoping to see a more streamlined process for some of these like rollover benefits that, ideally in January of the next year. Sometimes it takes a bit longer, so you just mentioned, I'm sure this is on your radar, but
totally on our
always
radar.
Appreciated when people don't have to wait until March.
Yes,
for example.
And apologies in advance. The Head Start bonus, when it starts in 2027, still might be March, but we hear you. These are things that we want to be able to accomplish earlier in the year. It's very sad when you start the year and you see your elitometer like at a 0, and so it'd be nice at least see your head start there. And so we acknowledge the point. It's very good feedback, and we will absolutely deliver it at some point, I promise.
Okay, I want to shift the conversation to revenue-based points accrual. Just being mindful of time here. That was actually all of the questions about elite status so far. So when Aeroplan relaunched in 2020, I think it was announced that Air Canada would eventually move to a revenue-based model. So perhaps there's no surprise that it was coming. It was just, I remember there were a few delays announced over the years. I think the figures at the time, if I'm correct, were 2 Aeroplan points, a 2x multiplier for basic fares, and on all other fares it was 3x, so economy standard and up. And then aside from that, there'd be elite multipliers that would be introduced as well. So 1x for 25k, 2x for 1x for 25k, 35k, 2x 50k, 3x 75k, and 4x for super elite. So these would stack, or they'd add together. So in theory, a super elite would be earning 7x points, which isn't, a lot higher than the 6x that they get now. But members without status and lower tier members would also have a higher earning rates than what they get with the new model. So it looks a bit different next year, where 1 point per dollar spent for Aeroplan members without status, 2 to 6x for elites, but no multiplier based on fare type. It was just kind of streamlined into a single 1 to 6 depending on your status. So British Airways switched to a revenue-based model like last year or the year before, and the earning rates start at 6 avios per pound, up to 9 avios per pound, and then United in the States starts at 5 miles per US dollar and goes up to 11 miles per dollar for Premier 1K members. So I'm just wondering if you could comment on about the changes to revenue-based points accrual in the first place, and then how you arrived at the 2 to 6x multiplier with no multiplier based on fare type.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, great memory from back then. As you would have, just kind of going back to some comments I made at the very beginning, one of the reasons we didn't roll out revenue-based accrual when we did, number one, we didn't really have the corresponding elite proposition to talk about, and we wanted to wait for that, but also more broadly, we weren't sure that we had this design right. And as we dug into the, into our research more, and as we talked to more members at various tiers of the program, including non-tier, the insights suggested that we were going down the wrong path. When it comes to earning points, in the program for Air Canada flights, the higher up you go in the status tiers, the more folks understood the points that they were getting, the more they changed behaviors around the points that they were going to be earning, and the more they cared about it. And there's absolutely the higher up you went in the elite tier, the more that was pronounced. In contrast, at the more general levels of the program, there was really just more a question of am I getting points or not? Because when you think about it, we were distance-based, or are distance-based, but it's at our standard fares and at our basic fares, it's some percentage of distance, and so you do still see as a general member some random amount of points entering in your account, and you're not exactly sure how it relates to what you just did, whether that's a function of what you spent or the distance that you flew. And so, suffice it to say, as we considered the points that we awarded at the lower tiers of the program, the big question that we had to ask was, do you put all of that into the base earn, or do you put that to work in other ways? And so, really, what the concept that we've come up with here is, it is unquestionably a better earn proposition for you at the, especially as you get to the mid to higher elite tiers. Like objectively, it is a great deal. In fact, for any priority rewards that you might be losing out on, you're going to probably make up for them in the extra points that you're going to get through the additional multipliers. And again, I invite you to do your own math. I don't mean to make that as a general statement. it's amazing the budget that you can free up for lucrative bonus offers and frequent bonus offers, which is really how we believe is a better way to engage the lower tiers of the program. And so members sitting at those lower tiers can expect more targeted offers from us. They can expect more always-on offers. In fact, members at all tiers can expect more frequent offers from us, because sometimes it really is just about incentivizing your next engagement and incentivizing the right behaviors. But promotional points and promotional status earn have a role to play here. But I should mention also, it's not fair calling out British Airways, because those are British pounds that you're talking about versus Canadian dollars.
I was going to do a currency conversion, okay. But I thought let's just keep it simple.
No, cool. And I'm not going to sit here and do the math. Again, it's I think objectively, you can look at on balance, they're awarding a lot of points there, both them and United. And I should mention, when you consider the holistic points budget that we're talking about here, and I can also mention, as it pertains to the elite program and our elite members, this is not these changes that we're making are not a cost savings measure. The entire challenge was to come up with the highest and best use for the envelope of funding that we have to work with. From our perspective, how can we maximize customer member engagement and the right member behaviors within the same costs? So we're going to be issuing about as many points tomorrow as we do today. And as far as elite members are concerned, we're going to have actually in every single tier, including super elite, we're going to have more members in each tier. Now super elite, it's going to be nominally more, but in every other tier, we're talking in some cases 10, 20 or more percent more members in each tier.
Thank you very much for that. And then just a last note on revenue-based earnings. So we know that there are going to be more promotions coming out, like you just mentioned. And I'm wondering, people have been wondering, like, what will they look like? And I'm wondering if you could give some examples about what a hypothetical promotion might look like. Just people are curious. We're waiting for them to come out. And if you have anything to share about that.
Yeah, I think this is one where I think it's just going to be better through our actions than our own words. But like, as you can imagine, you'll see us using bonus point offers to promote new routes, existing routes, seasonal, certain seasonality or counter seasonality, as the case might be. We might be looking at you as a member and how you're engaging in the program, and try and incentivize you to perhaps book your next trip by a certain time. And so again, the whole idea behind bonus points, some of it's to try and drive maybe a purchase that you otherwise wouldn't have seen, but sometimes it's just to drive engagement and relevance in the program. It's what makes loyalty programs fun. Excuse me, sorry for the cough. So there's a bunch of different reasons why you would ever do a promotional offer, and so I don't want anyone here to feel like it's only if it's going to be a new route, or if it's only about going to the UK in the middle of January, because it's not that. There's actually going to be quite a bit more to it.
And I just wanted to confirm as well that any promotional offers would stack with elite benefits and
Absolutely.
multipliers on credit cards as well. I know there's no one-to-one because it's base fare and carrier info surcharges, and not taxes and fees, but credit card purchases would have that included. So
That's
basically they'd all add together and you get a bunch of points.
That's right.
Cool.
And also, let's talk crazy talk here. It's not just about points. When you consider you have an available budget to work with, you can use those in a number of different ways. We might use it for status qualification. We might use it in other ways, but again, all with the goal of driving the right level of engagement for all of our members, and depending on what your individual story is.
Great. Wonderful. We are just right about at time, but I'm wondering if I could just go through a few relatively rapid-fire questions that came in from the Prince of Travel community, if that's okay.
Of course.
So one of our members, Nathan, had mentioned that it would be really useful during the Air Canada booking process, or during the booking process on the Air Canada website, to maybe show how many SQC people can expect to earn when shopping for flights, and especially when there's partner airlines involved. I know that Air Canada is very keen on technology, and would something like that be on your radar, and maybe additionally lifetime qualifying miles as well?
Indeed. Hey, great question. It's Natan Nguyen, if I remember correctly. Yeah, thanks for the question, Natan. It's a great one. We're with you. We in the coming year, you can expect to see exactly what your SQC earn is going to be when you're booking a ticket on aircanada.com.
Including with Star Alliance member airlines.
If you're booking the ticket on aircanada.com,
014 tickets.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll see it.
Cool.
You'll see it. So that's definitely coming. And then LQM, good question. Let us get back to you on that one. I think the same plumbing that we would be putting in place to be able to show to you itemized on your statement, we would seek to do that here as well.
Great, wonderful. You kind of answered this question earlier, and I don't think that we're going to get a concrete answer just because it involves facts and figures. But Jocelyn asks, I'm curious if you've run any projections to estimate what the numbers of members will be for each status level compared to what they are now under the old system, or under the current system. Are you able to share any types of figures with the audience above and beyond what you shared earlier?
Can't share any specific figures. That really is a secret. But again, just to recap, we're gonna have more. We're gonna have very close to the same elite member population. 5 out of 6 of our members are going to find themselves in the same status or higher. Again, while we're doing figures in orders of magnitude, and you can kind of maybe triangulate some math here, we have about, if all of our members next year did exactly what they did this year, so if you think of it that way, we'd have about 30% of our members moving up a tier, at least one, and we'd have about somewhere between 10 and 15% of our members actually going down. And so you have, and then everybody else staying the same. And so again, kind of when you, when you kind of do the 5 out of 6, that's kind of how you can get to it, and you can kind of see how it's not just a status quo story for a lot of our members. It's actually it's a moving up story.
Oh, awesome. We got some sort of additional information off of that. So thank you very much.
You're welcome to give you something.
Well, you always have to ask. And then maybe just finishing up, this was a discussion on a Facebook group that I thought would be an interesting idea to bring up. So one of the members, several members asked if Air Canada and Aeroplan had considered offering a bridge year of sorts for 2026. So maybe all tiers of status might be given a head start bonus of SQC to start the year with as they transition into the new system of SQC. And maybe even offering select benefits just one last time before transitioning to Milestones fully in 2027. How would an idea like this land with you? And I imagine there's a lot of background technology stuff that would be very difficult.
Well, actually, just forget the technology. Again, it's a reasonable ask. It's just not economically viable. Like it's because if you offered select benefits at the beginning of the year and offered milestone selection, it essentially is a double dip on those benefits, and those just come at a real cost. And again, it in many cases dilutes. Like think about how many E upgrades would be in circulation at that point. Again, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of not having upgrades available, and so. It's not sustainable, but on the rollover, the math actually works on these on the rollover on the 5 to 1 conversion. We've heard from a lot of members, and we've gone through and done the math on several of these, and I've seen the tools that have been created here, which are awesome. So when you do the math, somebody that's earning, might be earning super elite today. Tomorrow will be earning super elite, and they'll be earning well beyond it. And earning well beyond it means that they're going to be unlocking, for example, more milestones, and it is going to set them up for a head start the following year if they have the premium credit card. I guess this is a long and roundabout way of saying it's interesting when you look at what somebody's going to earn this year in terms of SQM and everything that they're earning, and then you look at what they're going to earn next year. While the ways that they're earning their status qualification might be fundamentally different, they are earning almost exactly the same. And this is just one where you have to kind of do your own math to validate that. But a lot of our members are finding themselves in that camp.
Great. I just wanted to thank everybody who submitted questions through our membership community. Thanks to everybody who tuned in today. I know that there are a lot of things on the horizon, including lounge refurbishments, lounge openings, E321 XLR, lots of exciting stuff happening, in the months and years to come. So I'm hoping that you'll be open. I hope that you'd be open to coming back and joining us to talk about those things. I wanted to fit some in today, but obviously the changes announced last week was really what we wanted to sink our teeth into.
Of course.
But again, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Scott, very much for joining.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, and thanks so much for tuning in, everyone.
Awesome, and we will see you on the Prince of Travel website and in the community and everywhere else.
Is this where we stay in a freeze frame?
I think so.
We're good. We are good.